Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Tisa with Aptus Court Reporting. Welcome to another Aptus webinar. So glad you could be here for this. And today we're going to take, like I said in the promo, if you've been watching it, registering, we're going to do a slight detour from our navigating remote depositions and do it more towards preparing a witness in the new normal. What's that going to look like? And today we're joined by a man displaying a flawless sense of sartorial elegance, Michael Perris of PERKON NYC, an image consulting company. And Mike, thank you for joining us today. And I know there's been so much going on with the remote depositions, and from Aptus's standpoint, we've concentrated so much on exhibit management, how to swear in the witness remotely, things like that. But a lot of questions we've been getting these last few months is, well, what's the witness going to look like, or what's my witness going to look like? And I think just a quick background on how we met. Okay, when we first started this, so I guess it was about 4 months ago now. I met Michael and he was working with a client. We were prepping their witnesses on how to use the technology for the remote platform, how to present exhibits and stuff. And then Michael was hired to prep the witness in terms of how they're going to look. And we've been working together for, like I said, about 4 months now. I've had many early mornings with him. You see me at my, I don't know if it's my worst or best, Michael. I'll leave that up to you to interpret.
Your worst. I've seen you at your worst. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, all right. Thanks for being blunt. I appreciate that. Okay. And what I noticed was, hey, these are some good tips. And like I said, as we've been moving along doing these remote depositions, more and more questions we get about what's the witness going to look like. So now that we're not doing these depos in person anymore, everybody's appearing remotely, and you don't have a videographer that can control the lighting or control the camera angle. You're relying on the witness to their camera, how they're going to look. So I thought with that we would bring somebody like Michael Perris on to discuss preparing a witness in the new normal. And Mike, with that, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about PERKON NYC and how you got into this and everything.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's just been great fun working with you at Aptus, and to really having the vision that part of what you do is just not IT and prep, but the final outcome is you really need your witness to be looking terrific on camera. To really, to win and to really feel that you're succeeding. So I got into this like everyone else during this whole sort of lockdown and COVID thing. My business was primarily a business where I functioned on producing video and video content for the fashion and beauty industry. I've worked with all of the greatest designers in the world. My company is a 20-year-old company. I've worked and consulted and directed every supermodel that you can think of. And when COVID happened, nobody was working. There were no more productions. So my friend George Vogren, who is with another law firm, he said, wow, I could really use your help because our witnesses aren't looking that great. And they don't really want to listen to us. We prep them on another level. Could you help us out? And I said, I would love to. So we immediately swung into it, and we started to coach. We would do some role playing, and you were there. That's when I first met you. And after that, about a half hour worth of role play, I was able to sort of diagnose what was wrong with their look and their lighting or the camera angle or all the nuances that go into each individual person's setup. Because it's not universal. Everybody's either broadcasting from their basement, their bedroom, their kitchen, wherever. So each situation was completely unique and different. So I basically would take a look at it, diagnose it, and give them the tips that were necessary for them to look really camera ready and optimal for sitting in front of a camera for 6 hours or however long the deposition was going to be, which is grueling enough if you're doing it live, let alone when you're doing it on video and in this new type of communication mode that we're all in. So that's sort of how it all got started. My background before I started my company, I was Ralph Lauren's executive producer for over 8 years and reported directly to Mr. Lauren. So I learned all of my style and my style tips from what I consider a genius in the marketing and the image business. And I have had a very good career, and here I am working with you guys and consulting now with people all over the globe, not only in the legal profession, but I'm also consulting with people in the executive recruiting area. And I'm also working with a lot of educators right now who are doing a lot of, obviously online courses. And you would be surprised just how bad they look, not their students, but they look, and they need all the help that they can get. So that's sort of it in a nutshell.
Well, after doing so many of these remote depositions for the last few months, I wouldn't be surprised how bad they may look. So I totally get that. Way to subtly drop in Ralph Lauren. Nice name drop in there. Good for you, man. That's great.
Yes, he was. It was a real pleasure working with him and an honor for so many years. It was great.
Awesome. Cool. Well, you mentioned some tips that you gave right when we first met and we first came in contact. Let's start off right there. Like, what's the first thing when it comes to now, I guess, remote depositions being camera ready? What's the first thing the witness or their attorney should be conscious of?
The first thing you have to be conscious of is sort of just think, all of a sudden you are a predator. A predator means you're a producer, you're an editor, you're doing a production with your live video broadcast. So you go back to really the basics, and that's lights, camera, action. And you've heard this a million times, growing up. And it really comes down to that. So the first thing you want to really look at is how are they lit? And lighting is the most important thing. And if they're not lit well, you're going to have a very, very unsuccessful sort of deposition. So what you want to make sure is that they're not sitting in front of windows. Because if they're sitting in front of windows, they're going to look like they're in silhouette, and they're going to look all dark and sort of gray, and it's not good. So what you want to do is you want to have a light source in front of the subject. You want to have a light source in back of the PC or in back of the laptop or whatever they're using in terms of their camera. So the light should be coming directly at them. My light is coming a little, from the right, but I like that kind of shadow on my face and whatever. So, but if they have a light directly in front of them, that's really good. Tell them to move a lamp. If the lamp is still not bright enough, take the lamp shade off of the lamp and have that light bulb illuminate their face. It makes all the difference in the world. If they have nothing, they can just even turn the brightness of their laptop or their screen up. Because don't forget, our computer screen is a light shining directly at us. So lighting is really, really, really key. A lot of times if you have depositions that are taking place in different time zones or from different countries, don't assume the light from natural light from the windows are going to work all the time. If you're in a 6 or 5 hour time difference, that light is going to go away and you're going to be sitting in a dark room. So you want to make sure you're sort of controlling the light for the person who is sitting there on camera. That's it. Mike, I can't hear you.
Because I'm on mute. I was trying not, there was some noise going by. I apologize for that. Thank you. When I was doing deposition as a videographer, the first thing I did was close all the blinds in the conference room. And I would get yelled at, why are you taking away our view? Because the light's going to come in, it's going to create shadows, it's going to do all kinds of weird things with the face and everything. So I would, again, control the light. You'd have all the bright light in the conference room. That was good enough. And then as a videographer, our cameras, as you know, Mike, from a technical standpoint, our cameras are able to tell us when there's too much light on the subject, as you say. And without having all that in the remote world, everything you said about lighting really comes into play. But now it's up to the witness to help light themselves, and it's up to, I guess, in this case, their attorney to help prep them and say, hey, we need more lighting. So let me ask you a question. Right now, how is my lighting?
It's not great. The background is lit much brighter than you. You need more light on your face. You have a sort of a bluish tint, cold tint to you. So if you have a light there or some more light in your room, I'm going to tell you to put it on right now because, right now you're sort of dark.
Let's see, there's a little something. Is that any better?
It's a little something, but it could even be brighter. I don't know how you could, there you go. So right off the bat, we've seen you improve a lot from like where you started. You have flesh tones instead of looking like, you know, Blue Man Group Tube sitting there. So, you know, it's good. And already we've improved the lighting where you're at.
Perfect. Okay. And we actually had a question come in. I forgot to mention this at the beginning. I apologize. But if you have any questions you want us to answer, please submit them through the Q&A panel down there at the bottom. Just type it in and we'll get to them as we go, and then we'll save some time for after. And right now, here's a good one, Mike. It's kind of a deep technical question. Does it matter if it is fluorescent lighting or should it be a warm light?
It really depends on the room. You know, we use fluorescent type lighting in our video productions that we do, and sometimes it throws a very, very even, nice light. What I wouldn't do is mix color temperatures. So if it's going to be fluorescent, use fluorescent. If you want something that's a more traditional warm light bulb, then fine. But try not to mix temperatures, because that's when things get a little funny. And what I mean by that is the color temperature in Mike's background looks different than the lamp that he turned on in front of him. So, you know, and the problem in the beginning is you didn't have enough light on your face and you were mixing color temperatures, and that's why you looked blue.
Okay. So that's a good point right there, Michael. And like you said, I look blue. So some people might not have noticed that, but some people might have. So is that what we're trying to do with this lighting actually, is to make sure whatever you're just concentrating on what they look like and what they necessarily don't look like?
No, the most important thing is we need to illuminate the entire face so that we can see your lips moving, how you answer questions. We need to see your eyes, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you can't see your eyes if you're all in shadow. You can't, you know, see your eyes effectively if you're monochromatic. But we really need to see the expression on your face and how you are connecting to answering those questions that are being given to you. And the only way you could really do that really efficiently is by lighting yourself very effectively. The court reporter who's sitting there, you know, also needs all the help they can get by looking at your face and seeing your mouth move.
Got it. Okay. You talked about some of the angles and everything. Let's talk about this. I want to show you what I've been working with a lot, and what we've both been working with a lot when we've been doing some of these prep sessions about let's talk to camera angles now. Again, we don't have the videographer to shoot straight on, setting up their tripod with their camera either across the table or at the end of the table, right? We're relying on that webcam now. So I'm just going to kill mine real quick and move it, and so we can show some angles we've been getting at and what's wrong with some of these angles. So let me just pop it back up here.
Sure.
Okay. So how many times have we seen this in the morning, Michael, when we've done these?
This is a nightmare. This is a complete nightmare scenario. And if you see anyone's ceiling, it's already wrong. All right. So we don't need to be looking up at you for a number of reasons. The most basic reason, you're at a medium length away from the camera, but some people are really very close up with that camera, and we don't want to be looking up your nose. I don't want to look up anyone's nose. I don't want to see nose hairs. I don't want to see any surprises that looking up somebody's nose can give us. And it's really bad. Now, from a nonverbal communication standpoint, looking down at somebody is a very intimidating sort of thing. A posture. You're looking down, you're superior, you're judgmental. It's all sort of the wrong angle. You may look like a friendly person and you may be answering the questions, but subconsciously and non-verbally, you're saying that you're superior and you're just not coming across as effectively or as real as you could be coming across. So what you need to do is you need to raise the camera level, and the green dot or your camera or however the camera is used on your equipment has to be parallel with your eyes. So if that means putting boxes and books, as many as possible, under your device to raise it so that camera is parallel with your eye level, that's what you need to do. So go ahead and do that, Mike. I don't know if you can make that happen.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about that. So I was actually practicing with my external, but as you know, a lot of these laptops have cameras at the bottom of their screen. So like you just mentioned, let's pretend I have that kind of laptop. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to kill my camera. I'm going to raise it up. I'm going to get a stand or books, like you said. And now all of a sudden, when the camera comes back on, I'm at a different angle, and then we can adjust accordingly like that. Okay, so now
much better.
Okay, perfect. And so you mentioned eye level. Okay, so right now I'm looking at you on the screen, but I'm kind of tipping your hand here. I shouldn't be necessarily looking at the screen. What should I be looking at now?
You shouldn't. Of course, let's just go back. I like your positioning, head and shoulders in the shot. We want to make sure that you're filling the screen with the subject, with you. With the person who's answering questions. So I don't want to see the room. I'm not interested in your room. I'm interested in you. So get as close as you can to the camera lens by your chair, or move your laptop or your device as close to you as you can to really fill the screen. All right. So yes, to answer your question, what you want to do is you want to do something that's very counterintuitive, and you don't want to be looking at all of the squares.
Okay.
You want, when your lips are moving and you're answering questions, you want to be looking directly at the camera, which is the little green dot, red dot, whatever that dot is. Your eyes should be connecting to it. So what you want to do is you want to have put Post-its there or whatever with little arrows saying, look here, as a reminder, because it is counterintuitive. You're seeing squares, you're seeing different people on the screen, you're seeing documents. And of course, when you're reading a document or whatever, you're going to be looking to the left or the right. That's normal. But after you're done with that, your eyes go right back up to the green dot. All right. And you can see just how I'm looking down reading something, or I'm looking at you not talking, and then when it's my time, I look up at the camera, and all of a sudden we have a connection. You're connecting with a judge, you're connecting with a jury, you're connecting with a court reporter, whomever, and that is key. So that takes some practice, and once you've got that down, it's pretty easy. Just ignoring the other boxes on the screen. We know everyone's there. You know they're there. You just don't need to look at yourself. And if you're a super narcissist, you're not even looking at them. You're looking at you in the little box.
Not that I am. Okay, got it. Right. Okay.
I've caught you doing that, Mike, actually. But anyway, we'll talk about that offline.
All right.
Anyway, so that's the most important thing in terms of proper camera position, proper eye contact with the camera once you have it in the optimal position.
And you're right, it is counterintuitive because we're taught to look people in the eye, do all that. And now it's like, okay, you kind of go back to, well, it's an old sales trick. Look at their forehead, which is kind of, if you picture, I guess, the webcam as their forehead, you're doing just that. And let's talk about that. What kind of struggles have you seen with doing that, Michael? I know we've had to do a couple prep sessions where we just wanted to make sure that the subject, the witness, got it. And it is hard. It just takes some practice. But that's why you're saying, going into this, maybe already having that mindset that you need to do that. It'll just, putting those Post-it notes might just help you consciously think about that a little more. Am I right?
Yes, those Post-it notes do help because, again, it is counterintuitive. However, it's also, if you're the type of individual that is constantly seeking validation, nonverbal validation from others, head nods or, whatever, they're inclined to want to look at those boxes all the time. Or if you're an insecure person about your image, you're always checking yourself out to see how you look. So in a lot of ways, looking at the little green dot takes a lot of pressure off of you. So you're not preoccupied with, a constant validation or approval or people who are checking themselves out all the time. It's very hard sometimes for people who are used to speaking in large venues, live venues, to look directly into a camera because they're so used to looking at a live room full of people constantly reading and feeling the room and their eyes want to go all over the place all the time. And looking directly at a little light could be very off-putting sometimes, and it's just not how their mind is trained. Sometimes it's the most quiet, shy people that aren't great at public speaking that have a very, very, very easy time looking directly at that camera and are very successful at communicating. It's like broadcast news,
right,
you know, or the people who do that for a living. They're looking at a little black round circle and a teleprompter the whole time. They're not looking at anyone else in the studio. They've got earphones for that. And they just get so used to communicating to a black hole without any other, you know, sort of external stimulus. And it's training yourself.
Perfect. Okay. So we got our lighting down. We got our camera angle now. Our camera angle down. Okay. What are some more tips? What else are we missing? Are we missing anything else? What else can we talk about?
Well, there are a couple other things, for example. So it's lights, camera,
okay,
action. So the action is all about you. And you have just worked and you've prepped your witness, and you're there, and you've really worked hard. But now it's up to them to really, you know, have the action. And that action means a lot of things. How they're sitting in their chairs, what type of chair they're sitting in. And it's really, really important. These go on for hours. So they should be in a comfortable chair with a high back that supports their shoulders, so they're not slouching over and getting tired or shifting their weight. The seat should be padded enough so that they're not uncomfortable and constantly moving. You know, if they are on a swivel chair, it's important. And again, this is what I do when I'm observing them at the onset of the role play. There are people who just shift constantly or swivel constantly because they're nervous. So you go through 5 hours of somebody swiveling in a chair, and you're going to get motion sick, and it's really annoying watching that. So you want to make sure that if they have a propensity to do that, tell them to switch out the chair. You got to sit in a chair with 4 solid legs. So there's no swiveling taking place. There's no rocking taking place. None of those things you want during the action part of a deposition. They have to be firmly seated and looking directly into that camera. Very, very important. Part of the action also is your background, your room. What is that all about? And it's really important that, you know, you have sort of a neutral background, and you're not sitting in a background where things are annoying. Like, you know, that hand in back of you is annoying. That's annoying me. You know, so whatever that sculpture thing is there, that's got to go. You know, so, you know, that's part of the action. You know, I keep looking at that hand saying, what, you know, why is that there or whatever. One person that I was coaching, not from a legal deposition, but someone else, had a collection of garden gnomes, like 30 gnomes in back of him. I didn't even know what face to look at when I was looking at him, because I saw all of these like gnomes looking back at me. So I had to have him physically. No, you got to be kidding. So
okay,
no.
It wasn't me.
No,
it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you.
Yeah,
this was a whole collection, trust me. And I had to like have them move away from that background because it was just too distracting. You know, people sometimes have different types of artwork on the wall where the art looks like it's growing out of your head. That's not great. So certain things can be like annoying in the background. So you want to call that out and say, you got to move that. You've got to see if you can, what does this background look like? What does this part of the room look like? And have them work with you a little bit on that to see, you know, how that goes. So that's a very important thing as well. So that's your environment. And of course, no virtual backgrounds. That is a huge no-no. I know a lot of teachers are doing that I work with, and it's just not right. It's really, really annoying, and it just, you know, distracting. Then again, if your home environment is so bad that you need to go to a virtual background, that's a different story altogether.
Sure.
I'm sure you don't have to deal a lot with that.
No, and I think one of the things we're trying to reinforce here is like we're trying to, much when we do our demos for, doing deposition remotely, we're trying to, even though, like I said, being remote, we're trying to replicate the in-person process as much as possible. So that goes with your background. Like you would normally, if you're in person having your witness video recorded, the videographer brings in that neutral backdrop, right? That screen that sits in the
Correct.
back. Okay, we may not have the luxury for that. So what you're saying now is take away all distractions, get rid of my nanotech gauntlet. Even though I'm trying to protect the universe, but I'll get rid of that. Okay, and then maybe take off, the picture, the painting that my mother gave me. Take that down too.
Get rid of it.
Okay.
Get rid of it. Absolutely. Okay. The less is more. We're focused on you and your answers, and we just don't need, distractions. So, and again, this may sound to some as being nitpicky, but it all adds up. And, you really, really want to set an optimal stage for what you're doing. And you're the main attraction. You're the action, part of that whole thing. And action then, goes a step further, which is how are you appearing? How do you look? How is your hair? How are your glasses? How other types of things that we get into as well. Because, they're judging you the first 2 seconds, 3 seconds that you're on camera. They're already summing you up, like what you're all about and all of that. So you want to talk about that a little bit right now, Mike?
I was going to say before we get to that real quick. So if I took all that stuff away out of the background, would that wall be like perfect just to sit in front of and not have any distractions? That's about as neutral as we can get sitting at home, right?
Yes, I think it's good. And you've got a light source on the wall. If you shut the light off in the background, I don't know what that would do to the rest of the room. Mm-hmm. Go try it. Let me see what that looks like. Shut the light off in the back of your on that back wall.
Okay.
It's better, and I can see you more. We want to pump up the light a little bit more. Does that light have a lampshade on it that you have in front of you, or not? Or is it
no? It's one of those very low one. It's more of those just articulating heads and everything. So not too much light, but at least it's enough to illuminate me, like you said.
Right. So I would suggest even a little bit brighter light in front of you, and and you didn't need to light up your background. That's not what we want to do. We want to light you up. Like my background is totally a dark background. So that's, sort of a neutral, and you're only looking at me, when I'm talking. So that's, very important. So yes, you can keep it on or off, but I prefer it, off and a little brighter light on your face. That's what I would be working for.
Okay. Got a quick question here from one of our attendees. How do you get rid of, if there is a way, how do you get rid of computer reflection on glasses? Like, you're looking at the screen, you have all that light bouncing off your glasses. Is there a way to do that? What do you recommend?
Very hard, but you can eliminate it if it's a laptop, just slightly moving the angle of the laptop, the top of the screen can adjust that. Even if you have a PC, if the screen is adjustable, the angle of the screen you want to fool around with so you're not seeing the reflections. So you can see when I move up, you're seeing, light. Now that could be from the illumination over here where my light source is coming from, or it could be the computer. So you want to basically fool around a little bit with the angle of the screen to eliminate that glare. And we would work on that too with whomever is being coached at that time.
It's just kind of touch and go at that point, just finding the right.
It's touch and go, exactly. And then walking away from it and don't touch it again until after it's all over with, because that is the optimal thing. I've even had people in interview situations, we put tape on the floor where the chair has to sit exactly. Because a lot of these people are going for like large job interviews where they're making $500,000 or $1 million a year, and they just have to look amazing, and they have to communicate in the best way possible, and we can't leave anything to error there. So it's really important that you set it, walk away from it, get back into the position as quickly as possible.
Right. So, okay, so we got our camera angle, we got our lighting, we got our no swiveling in the chair, we got our background. Now, what should I wear? How should I comb my hair? What should I do? Should I shave? Shouldn't I shave? Talk about some of those tips. What do you recommend? What comes through best on camera?
You have to treat this as you would be treating doing it live. So would you be wearing a blazer and a tie if you were going to a live deposition? Yes, you would probably. And you should treat the video deposition with the same decorum and the same amount of respect to who's going to be viewing you. And don't forget, this is being recorded as well. Mm-hmm. So you really want to make sure that you are looking optimal. That, if it's, a woman, you're in, business attire and you're pulled together. If your hair, if you haven't gone, to your beautician or whatever, you want to make sure your hair is neat and pulled back. And again, it's not backlit, so you don't look like Medusa or like, a witch, that could happen if you have a full-headed hair. So, I would be looking at your hair. With a guy too, you want to make sure that your hair is cut. A lot of guys, oftentimes, the last time I spoke with you, your hair was longer and you had these little wispy things. They look like pom-poms coming out of the back of your neck. Okay. They're not there anymore, but below your earlobes appeared these little round things. And, you don't want that either, so you want to make sure that your hair is cut. And regarding facial hair, unless you're a model and unless you're a hipster that looks so amazing with a beard and that you're ready to go to a photo shoot because it looks so good, there is no way that you should be using a beard because it's a COVID beard. And I call these summer beards, not because it's summer, because some is here, some are there, some are here, some are there. I don't want to see a summer beard at all because it's just sloppy looking. And also, going back to the sort of the subconscious or the nonverbal communication, facial hair, believe it or not, means you're hiding behind something. It doesn't mean that you are straightforward. So in your mind, you could be saying, yeah, but, he's looking sloppy or whatever. And, there's just another element to disbelieving sort of what you're saying. So when you're clean shaven, you just look pulled together and you look ready and, and more trustworthy. So I would say, unless your beard looks amazing, shave it for the deposition. Just, look clean and neat and pulled together. Absolutely.
Thank you for mentioning that yesterday before the webinar when we were talking. Thank you for letting me know now that I am not a model nor a hipster, but that's okay. I'm going to write that down. I'm definitely going to write that down. Here it goes. Okay. I
didn't single you out on that, Mike, and it's just but whatever. You're not being deposed, so you look good for what you're doing right now. But if you were being deposed, I would want to see you clean shaven probably. If that's not your everyday look, and it's again, if this is just a new look because of lockdown and COVID, it's just lazy and sloppy. So forget it.
Okay, fair enough. Good to know. All right. We have a couple questions, and this is something even when we were doing in-person depositions. What clothing colors are there should you avoid, or what do you recommend? So what would you avoid, and what do you recommend in terms of the color scheme?
Well, right off the bat, you want to avoid certain colors like black. Solid black is not great on camera because it conjures up all kinds of negative sort of thoughts and looks. It's chic, but it's not right for what we're doing. Red, forget it. Do not wear red. On women, red is okay, but unless it's a great looking evening gown or a great skirt, forget it. On a guy, never wear red, especially on camera. It's just really bad. Avoid yellow. Yellow reflects back up on the skin and it makes you look jaundiced. So don't ever wear yellow. The best color on camera is navy blue or blue. Any shades of blue. Solid blue is just a great color. It's soothing. There's a tranquility to it. It puts everybody at ease. and it conjures up ideas of the sea, the ocean, the sky, wide openness. You want to appear open, and blue really, really does that. I would say blue, you want to avoid busy patterns. You want to avoid stripes that are very, very close together, pinstripes that are really close together, because they may start ringing on camera. We call that moraying, like moire silk, where all of a sudden the pattern's so close, they start humming and singing, and you really don't want to get into a situation like that. So try to stick to solids, try to stick to, blue colors. Gray is a great color. Any shades of gray, charcoal gray, pale grays, gunmetal gray. Gray is a very classic color. Camel color works well with gray. Those are nice shades together. Cream colors work well. But the blazer should always be darker. You don't want to wear light blazers. So whatever you wear under the blazers, that could work. But don't go with a light blazer.
Are pinstripes still out for suits?
Pinstripes are a complete power look. If you're, representing a company, you're a CEO, a CFO, and you're working in a very, very high position in the company, then pinstripes are totally acceptable.
Yeah.
They're classic, and it's a powerful look. So if you're a powerful witness, the pinstripe is fine. If you're not, you then just wear something solid. But yeah, it depends on. I would say a pinstripe should work with your status or your position in the company, or who you're representing and who you are. So pinstripes are, that'll never go out of style.
Okay, good. I apologize. I thought for like a brief period back when, HD was really coming, HDTV was coming in. I know that depending on, not to get too technical, but sometimes the pinstripes would, it would just they were kind of like a 3D, one of those 3D puzzles, they kind of just make you blurry and everything. But you're saying that, but now I guess the technology is caught up, and not to get too technical, but the refresh rate, you're saying yes to pinstripes are still okay.
Right, exactly. And also it depends on how broad they are. I said no stripes should be too close together. So shirts that are striped, the stripes shouldn't be too close together, because they may start ringing when the camera looks at it. So that's what I recommend.
Okay. What color? Here's a question that came in. What color lipstick is best? And is lip gloss okay, or avoid that shine?
Avoid that shine. Toss the gloss. A friend of mine wrote a book, Andrew Robinson, about that. Gloss makes you look on camera not so great, and it makes you look a little cheap. And if you're older, it actually doesn't make you look younger. It heightens your age. So avoid gloss of any time. Avoid gloss, like any sort of oily creams or whatever you may want to put on your face, especially a woman if she's wearing a foundation. The more matte you are, the better. And I'm sure you remember in your days of production, Mike, that there would always be somebody there from the makeup department, matting you down. Stop! They're shining. Their forehead's shining. Their nose is shining. You really need a very matte look. Shiny makes you look like you're sweating, and it makes you look like you're nervous. It makes you look like you're hiding something, or it's just not good. So avoid gloss at all costs. As far as color is concerned, you don't want anything, too bright. Neutrals are good. I would say stay in a more neutral palette for lip shade for a woman. Also, watch the mascara on the lower part of the lid. You don't want to heighten mascara on the lower part of the lid. It does not do well on camera. So just be careful with that.
Okay. So let's see. I'm trying to cross off the list here. We got the camera angle. We got the lighting. We got Oh, the swiveling of the chair. So even if you are disciplined in general, even so, you've helped me break this habit. I'm a big swiveler. I was a big swiveler.
You
Okay.
were. You moved a lot.
Should just by default get you? I know you want to be comfortable, but should you by default just get a chair that doesn't swivel? Just I mean, I know you're sitting there for a long time, but just so you don't, the day goes longer. You get tired. You may just subconsciously start swiveling. Is a good rule of thumb just to go ahead and get like a stable 4-leg chair that doesn't move?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you could, yeah. I mean, because when things start rolling, also if you start shifting left or right, sometimes the wheels on the chair make sound on themselves, or the surface that it's rolling on makes a sound, or it starts to become a little annoying. And again, this would not be annoying if it was just a half an hour. But if it's all day, it's annoying, so nothing should call attention to itself. The only thing that you should be focusing on is you and how you're answering those questions. That's the only thing that we should be focusing on for all of those hours.
Okay, fair enough. And then I'm getting a couple questions. Should men, if they are shiny, powder their faces and their forehead? Just to clarify, it's like, is it okay to do that? I know we're not. We're not on TV, but at the same time, 8 hours. People could be looking at you for maybe not that long, but you just never know. You always want to look your best. So you are recommending if there is any hint of shininess, to go ahead and put some kind of powder or to kind of dull that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. This applies to men and women, and anybody that you see on TV, they basically, when those commercials come on, there are people flying in on that set, powdering them down like crazy because they don't want to appear shiny or greasy or nervous or sweaty. The last thing you want is for your witness to look, like they're perspiring and they're nervous. And that's what that says. So translucent powder with a brush, yeah, it's a really, really good thing. You can also buy those pieces of paper that absorb the grease, where you could blot them on your face and make sure that the grease is sort of being collected in those little pieces of paper. You can buy those at Sephora or order them online. But you can't beat a brush with translucent powder. It's just the best way to do it. However, women are used to putting powder on and they know the mechanics of it. Men aren't. So a man, shouldn't be wearing his navy blue blazer and then getting out a brush or a pad and start powdering his face and then all of a sudden have powder all over the front of him. So lean over the sink, take your blazer off, whatever. And you break every hour, I assume, during these depositions. So that's the time you want to touch up a little bit. The camera will never see you're wearing powder. So, it's somebody who's live in the room that comes up to you close, they'll be able to see that you're wearing some makeup. But on camera, you're just going to look camera ready and really calm, cool, and collected.
Okay. A couple of things I want to ask, and maybe you have some advice on what I see a lot of in-person deposition, now remote depositions. Again, the day goes on, people get tired. I see a lot of this type thing. Would you recommend taking more breaks for the afternoon to not do this? I mean, my posture now is just gone. I look tired. I don't know. How do I come off now, I guess? 'Cause I see a lot of this as depositions go on, again, in person and remote.
Yeah, you look tired and you look, like, you've had it. If you look tired, you're making everybody else look tired on the other side of that lens. So the thing is, slouching and whatever, it sort of works like coughing. One person coughs and then another person coughs. So they sort of start feeling the way you're projecting. So yes, you have a chair that tilts back. So like I said, you need a solid chair. So you're uncomfortable slightly with a solid chair for 6 hours. It's better than slouching and looking, tired and sloppy. So every hour, I think, 40 minutes to an hour break is optimal, where you can sort of like refresh yourself. It's important to keep hydrated too, in having a glass of water or a beverage near you so that you can, keep your mouth, wet, and so that you don't have dry mouth. And it also will keep your energy level up too, the more hydrated you are. So you want to encourage, drinking throughout the deposition, water that is. So, that's what I say.
So I guess real quick, like if I'm answering a question, like how am I coming off to you now? If I'm answering like this, I'm saying yes, no, I'm just answering. What am I? What kind of vibe am I?
You're communicating the wrong vibe. You're a lack of seriousness, a lack of focus, not so trustworthy. You're really, just not coming across, like you're alert and like you're somebody that I can trust and somebody that's, that's valid. You're just coming across as a slouch, and that's where the word comes from. So, yeah, you don't want that. And I will tell you, if you put a blue blazer on right now, or I don't know if you have a blazer near, it would show how that even will change your appearance. There you go. Wow, I'm impressed.
Okay.
So you will see just without putting a tie on, just having a blazer instead of just your shirt will make a difference. And also, people ask sometimes about T-shirts. No, there you go. Wow. So already, look, there's a huge difference, just from the shirt, just from wearing a blazer, not even putting a tie on. So if you put a tie on, you would even, it would even bring that, elevate your testimony even more. It would just validate whatever you're saying even more so. And again, these are visual perceptions that are ingrained in us very deeply from when we were kids and how we viewed people, in authoritative positions, and how there were professional positions when they were wearing a suit and a tie, or a blazer and a tie. So it's really important to really make this effort and look good.
And all good points. I'm just curious. I've heard in the minority, very few times I've heard, but I have heard it. It's like, hey, don't dress up too much. We don't want you to come off as too ostentatious or too pretentious. Is there a such thing? Is that? I'm guessing no, because you want to, like you said, you're here for a deposition. One of the admonitions we always hear is like, even though you're not in a courtroom, your testimony still has the same weight as it would bear if you were there. So knowing that, you would wear a suit and tie to the courtroom, yes. So I guess transferring that over. So is there any such thing that as being overdressed or coming off, like if I'm wearing this, like let's say if I had a tie, what would I need to do to not come off as pretentious or ostentatious?
Well, first of all, there's nothing pretentious or ostentatious about a navy blue blazer, or if a woman's wearing a jacket over her blouse, whatever, that's, very understated. There's nothing really ostentatious about that. When you start really, wearing a lot of designer clothing, let's say, unless you're, a rap star or an entertainer or somebody who has a certain image to uphold, and we're used to seeing that image, fine. But, you don't want to wear a lot of flashy jewelry. This goes more for women. You don't want to wear, your whole jewelry collection on you when you're doing a video deposition. You don't want, large earrings. You want something that's more conservative. You want to wear a strand of pearls or a single necklace. But don't get carried away with that. With men, the same thing. You don't want, a big flashy watch. That would come across as ostentatious. So keep a basic wardrobe, and you look very conservative. You're not like, standing out. Stick with a solid color shirt. So if you wore a shirt that was blue with a white collar, now you're starting to look a little, a little ostentatious. That's good for an attorney, but that may not be good for the witness. Again, if that's not your look, everyday look, don't try to be something or someone you're not. Just dress up and, feel comfortable with your look in front of the camera, in front of this live deposition. You can smile, you can use your hands, you can gesture, you can do all those things that you normally would do. But that comes with practice too, because again, the first thing your inclination is to keep your hands down and never use them. But sometimes it's important to use your hands and to make a point. And those are things that we work on, again, when we do the live coaching with your clients. It's really important. And again, each person is so individually different. Each setting, each personality, each physical look. And oftentimes, your legal team doesn't feel comfortable going there. And that's why you have to depend on someone like me to say, hey, this is what I do, and trust me, and we're going to get through this. And the greatest thing is looking where you started, and by the end of that whole process, how you end up looking. And it's tangible, and you end up walking away feeling really, really great. And everybody feels confident. Your legal team that's put all this work into you, and you sitting there as the witness it's a great, great feeling. So it's the best time and effort and money you'll ever spend doing something like that with your person. You care about winning this case, and that's really what it's all about. So that's putting that extra mile in.
Excellent. We're winding down, but before I forget, I'm going to drop in the chat feature for everybody Michael's website, PERKON.com. And before we get too far on, I want to just kind of recap here. Okay, so I'm an attorney. Okay, my witness is going to be video recorded, or the deposition is going to be taken. It will be recorded. Okay, 3 things I need to tell them right away to do. 3 things to tell them not to do, and go.
Yes. The first thing you have to do is you have to get that camera level with your eyes. Second thing you have to do is you have to make sure that there is a light source in front of you illuminating your face. Next thing you have to do is make sure that you're connecting your eyes to the camera every time your lips are moving and you're not reading a document. Your eyes are looking at the green dot. You don't want them to look away. Those are the 3 most important things right off the bat. All the other things are all of the nuances that have to go into each individual case.
And this is, I can answer that. Is it okay to drink coffee or something other than water? I guess the short answer, yes, but that depends on how you react to it. I think if you have a reaction to caffeine, I mean, the days get longer and longer, the more you might have to take breaks to use the restroom, and it might make you, I know for me, if I drink too much coffee, that's when my swiveling starts. So
that's right.
Yep. I think you just kind of be conscious of that.
I'm a tapper. My fingers start getting very fidgety, and I start tapping things. So I would not recommend a lot of caffeine during these things. I also would not recommend drinking out of things that you have to suck out of or slurp out of. Your microphone is on, and you're going to hear all of these sounds. And the microphones are close to our mouth, and you're going to hear you drinking. So, drink out of a regular glass.
Okay. One thing, again, just a few more minutes here, but what are your thoughts on, I've had a few clients ask me this during our demos about their witnesses. If I'm wearing a headset or earphones like you are and I was earlier, does that have any bearings? I mean, does that matter at all? I know we're kind of doing these in the COVID era. Does having a headset on, does it take anything away, or does it add anything? Just your overall thoughts on that. I know it's kind of a weird question, but I have been asked that.
No, it's a good question. And if you have earbuds I don't have the earbuds like you have, but something like this where the wire's under you, it's perfectly acceptable. We're used to seeing people like that. If you have a whole headset with the pods, not pods, but the ear cups.
Yes.
With a microphone in front. No, we're not playing a video game here. We're not gaming. We're like, you're a witness. So you want to keep it as low profile and low key as possible, not to call attention to itself. And again, you're making sure everything is working. That's why you're there. That's why we're doing a run through and having rehearsals and whatever, prep time. So we'll be able to see if those earbuds aren't working properly or whatever. But that's what you want to do. But don't use the full, surround sound gamers headset. Don't do that.
I'm just curious. I mean, you've seen so much over these, last few months, definitely, but in all your years, from the deposition standpoint, from prepping a witness, any fun stories you can give us, or any, by all means, don't ever do this kind of scenarios you can give us, or anything you've seen, just to kind of help our audience just give a full range of what you've seen over all these years.
Well, not just from the deposition, a lot of these tips you're going to take out of your professional life, and you're going to use them with Zoom cocktail parties and whatever, however we're in front of the camera now, which happens to be a lot and often. Yeah, I mean, you just don't ever want to share, you never want to share the camera with someone else in the room. That is a bad thing. And I was on a webinar, and one of the participants happened to be broadcasting sitting up in her bed, but it was a neutral wall. So we didn't know she was in bed until she shifted her camera, and her boyfriend was sitting next to her with a bare chest. And he wasn't a good looking guy, so it was sort of, it was scary, and, listen, I jumped. So I'm sure like everybody else on the webinar jumped as well. Like, oh my God, it's like, you don't want to ever put yourself in a situation where there are other people that are in close proximity to the room. And, that is a big no-no. So I would say that, and again, the camera angle thing, never have the camera angle low looking up into your nose. And I have seen some very unattractive things with that. Also, don't be little in the screen. Again, you want to fill the screen with your head and shoulders. So you don't want to be this little micro thing dot on the screen where everybody's reaching to see you, so it's very important that we do that too, and those are just some of the things, but definitely who's ever in the room being filmed, be fully clothed. Unless it's a different kind of video, and we could do a different seminar on that.
Please do that. No, that's all. Definitely not. No, but apparently don't have a beard either. Okay, thanks for that reminder.
No. If your beard looks great and you've had a beard your whole life, then you're going to use a beard. But if it's just a lazy beard, shave it.
We're going to let that go. We're not going to press it anymore. Okay. So, Michael, thank you so much. And before we go, I'm going to share the screen here so you have some contact information. And is there another, what's shared right here? Is this the best way to contact?
Yes, Perris at PERKON, email me or call me. I'm going to give you my other number, 917-566-3326. That's my direct number. And I'd be happy to talk with you. I'd even be happy to, sit down and give you a complete free sort of exploratory conversation. If you're working on a very important case and you're deposing a number of different people and you don't quite feel comfortable crossing that line between you and your witnesses, you really should consider working with me and coming up with a plan to really be part of your team. You're busy enough doing what you do. I would love to sort of work with you. And first of all, I love doing it, and I love to see where it all ends up. But in the final analysis, having a witness that just looks and sounds terrific is just, there's no greater feeling that you've really dotted your I's and crossed your T's and you're ready. So it's a win-win on every level. Please don't hesitate calling me, and we can work something out.
Well, I dropped your cell phone number. Thank you for your direct line there, and also your email address in the chat feature for everybody. And Michael, again, thank you so much. It's always fun to do these kind of side webinars. And like I said, I've been working for several months now, and it's been fun. And I'm so glad you were able to come on and share your knowledge with me again and some of our audience members. And I do encourage everybody to take Michael up on his offer, because you saw he's given us some great insight, and it can help you and your witnesses prepare as well. So, Michael, thank you again, and we'll be in touch shortly.
My pleasure. Good luck, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.